All right, another Q&A about faith and emotions and how they work together and what we can learn. The question today, this evening is, can emotional growth make me a better Christian? That's the question. It's actually a longer one. That's the short version. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The question is from an online friend of mine, somebody who I met through social media. His name's Jorge Colon. He asked the question, his version was this: how can learning about our emotions help us apply Jesus' love and compassion in the world today? And when he asked that question, he was particularly focusing on how everything feels so polarized and antagonistic and hostile around us all the time. The world, it just seems to be a mess. There's more reactivity than I ever remember, more offendability than ever in my lifetime. We see that all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, people making statements and then attacking each other because they didn't say things just the right way. We see Christians behaving this way, sort of canceling or excommunicating each other because they don't believe the same thing or because they don't interpret the Bible in the same way. And everybody seems to be really on the defensive, kind of watching out to be attacked. This is true Christians with each other. It's true between Christians and other people. It kind of seems like there's this tone right now in our world where anyone who isn't like us or who doesn't make us happy gets our ire. Well, this is precisely why emotional maturity matters so much. See, one of the most important indicators that a person is maturing emotionally is that they don't vent their emotional outrage on other people. Now, that doesn't mean they don't get hurt. Doesn't mean they don't get angry. It just means that they are able to experience their emotions without denying them or getting flooded. They're able to hear their emotions without jumping to conclusions, and they're able to express all that emotional energy in life-giving and constructive ways without reacting. Now that's the goal. That is the precise goal of emotional maturity, or in the context of faith, emotional discipleship. Learning to experience our emotions without denying them or getting flooded, learning to hear what our emotions have to say without jumping to conclusions, and learning how to express our emotional energy in life-giving and constructive ways without reacting. That's what we're shooting for. The more emotionally mature we become, the more we're able to act compassionately toward people that we disagree with, or even towards people who've hurt us. Now, this is the core of Jorge's question. It comes down to compassion. See, compassion it's not just a choice, it's an emotion. It's an emotional response we feel toward other people that allows us to feel things from their perspective. Think about that. The word compassion, the root of compassion literally means to feel with somebody else. Well, if we're disconnected from our own emotions, then we're definitely going to be disconnected from the emotions of other people. If we don't understand our own emotions, then we are not going to understand emotional outbursts or emotional responses from other people. If we're afraid of our own emotions, then we're going to be afraid of the emotions of other people. So that means in order for us to really have compassion for other people, which is what we need in a world that's so hostile, if we're going to really have compassion for other people, then we need to understand and mature in our own emotions. So here's some examples of how this might work. When I learned that emotions just happen, right? Emotions are neither good nor bad. That's a helpful piece of information for me. It means I don't need to feel guilty for feeling an emotion. It's not wrong to feel angry if anger is the appropriate emotion. It's not wrong to feel sad if sadness is the appropriate emotion. Emotions are responses to things happening in our heart or our circumstances. They're neither good nor bad. Hey, Shelly, nice to see you. So when I learned that emotions just happen and they're neither good nor bad and I don't have to judge myself for having them, guess what? I can apply that same principle to my experience of other people's emotions. It's sort of like an emotional application of the golden rule. If I want my emotions to be taken seriously, which I surely do, shouldn't I take other people's emotions seriously? If I want, hey Shelly, if I want to be judged by my intentions rather than by my emotional outbursts, Shouldn't I give other people that same grace? See, I learned something about my own emotions, and that opened me up to the possibility of compassion for other people. Here's another example. When I learned that emotions always carry a core meaning, that was helpful for me in understanding what was going on inside of me. So I learned, for example, that anger is the emotion we feel when we perceive that we're under threat, right? So whenever I feel angry, I can kind of follow that threat into my heart and say, oh, am I feeling threatened? Is that a reasonable threat? Why am I feeling threatened? What do I do about that, right? Well, that's me learning about me, but guess what? I can apply that same thing in my experience of other people. So if I'm interacting with a guy who's being angry with me, I can actually think to myself, oh, maybe he's perceiving that he's under threat right now. Am I a part of that? Am I threatening him? Maybe I can clarify in my language that I'm not attacking him or that I'm not threatening him, that I want to get to the bottom of the problem, right? Now, all of a sudden, because I've grown in my own understanding of my own emotions, I can begin to have compassion for other people's emotions. Here's another example. When I learned that emotions always come with energy, this motive energy that moves us to take action, I know how powerful that is for me. I know how I feel that energy when I get angry or when I'm joyful and I have that emotional energy kind of coursing through me. Well, I've learned that about myself. I can also then begin to see how that's true for other people. Right? So, oh, that's why this guy's so intense about solving this problem. He's angry. He wants to deal with the perceived threat. Ah, I get it. I see how the energy from his anger is moving him. All right, now I'm open to having compassion. Now, here's why this is one of the crucial answers, I think, for the struggles we're facing in this polarized world where we can't have political discussions and we can't have religious discussions and we can't have discussions about, family members that have hurt us, or we can't have discussions about sexual abuse or the Me Too movement or all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter and the struggles that people have around expressing their feelings and why these things matter to them. The reason we can't have these conversations is because we are not connecting through compassion with each other. And that requires emotional maturity. See, compassion's ultimately about emotional connection. Compassion is not about seeing the world from another person's point of view. That's close. Compassion is about feeling the world from another person's point of view. Right? I know what it feels like to experience great loss. Is that person experiencing great loss right now? I can connect with that. Right? I may not have had the loss they've had, but I've had my own losses and I can connect with their experience. I know what it feels like to experience a violation or unfair violation. I know how that makes me feel angry. So is that person, is that protester that is experiencing anger right now, I wonder if that's coming out of a place of feeling violated. I wonder what that experience was like for them, right? I know what it's like to feel anxiety and the sense that I might lose my place at the table. Are they feeling that right now? Are they feeling threatened, like they might lose their sense of belonging? See, all of a sudden, when I'm growing in my own emotional maturity and I can connect, hey, Wendy, I can connect with this sense of knowing what these feelings mean for me, then I'm able to now feel from someone else's point of view. And that's what compassion is, right? I'm not just logically thinking about how they might be thinking. I'm actually feeling connected to the emotional state that they're experiencing. And that is what true compassion is. And when I have that sense, when I can feel from another person's point of view, that opens up the door to connection. How can I serve this person now that I understand them better? How can I connect with them? How can we talk about this controversial issue in a way that's not attacking or demeaning or derogatory? So even if it's someone who I disagree with, I can continue in a conversation with them because I'm understanding how they're feeling about the circumstances. So, Jorge, this is one of the reasons why I think emotional maturity is so crucial for followers of Jesus. Like, spiritual people learn spiritual practices, and those things can help us feel better about ourselves. But the bottom line is our faith is irrelevant if it's not making a difference in the world around us. And the capacity to make a difference in the world around us is rooted in compassion, and we're not going to feel compassion if we're disconnected from our own emotions. Compassion is the ability to feel with other people so that we can understand what they're experiencing. Our ability to have real compassion for other people is directly tied to our own emotional fluency and experience. I think the more emotionally mature we are, the more we will be able to live lives of compassion. And I believe that is what Jesus calls us to. All right, that is the answer to the question today. I absolutely believe that emotional growth makes me a better Christian. I think it's not even optional. I think it's crucial, not only for my own sense of connection to God, but for my ability to live compassionately towards other people.